The rise and fall of the Berlin Wall is one of the biggest political issues in history. It was influenced by the Cold War, which had included the two biggest superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, both of whom had completely different political views and demands. Although the Soviet Union and United States never fought in full-scale combat, both were heavily armed with nuclear weapons, which threatened for a World War III. The first phase of the Cold War began after the Second World War when the United States began to think of ways it could challenge Soviet power. It started to extend military and financial aid to Western Europe countries to try and make allies. But when Germany was defeated, Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet Union dictator, decided to close off access between East and West Berlin due to East Germans trying to flee to the West. Many East Germans were dissatisfied with life under communism, so from 1949 to 1961, some 2.5 million East Germans fled from East Berlin in search of a better life under democracy. On the night of August 12, 1961, East German soldiers were given commands by Nikita Khrushchev to begin laying down more than 30 miles of barbed wire barriers through the heart of Berlin. Berlin was split in half into two sections. The Soviet Union occupied East Berlin, and the U.S. occupied the West. East Berlin was more of a dictatorship or communist, most people would say, while in the West was a parliamentary democracy with a capitalist economic system. Many civilians in the East did not like life due to things like restricted access of seeing family on the opposite side of the wall, and also the loss of jobs because they weren't allowed on the other side. For some, life became very difficult, and West was the place to be. East German citizens did not agree with the building of the Berlin Wall and started to riot and protest. While rioting and protesting, many tried to escape over the wall but were shot and executed. They tried to escape but were shot in somewhere called the Death Strip, which was between East and West Berlin. Over 200 were killed in their attempt to escape. Eventually, the United States and the British were too strong for the Soviets, and the Soviets finally fell. When the Soviet Union fell in 1989, East Germany decided to get rid of the wall. They tore it down and allowed people to travel more or less freely over the border into the West. Within a couple of years, they reunified cash-strapped East Germany with the more prosperous West Germany, and they became unified in one nation again. The wall was finally demolished, and the people partied in the streets and screamed in excitement on the top of the wall about unity and equality. Berlin was finally unified and more prosperous than ever.
And that very night, for the first time since 1961, they made a hole in the Berlin Wall. It had not seemed possible only months ago. Now anything seemed possible. Romania. In the last days of the decade, even the hardline leadership of Nicolae Ceausescu, who had gunned down his own people to stay in power, finally folded.